just found out that apparently part of our 6 got cut off. So I'm going to go through and do this last problem, and then we'll upload that and finish up with R7. So now, as I was saying, all of these numbers, if you look at them, again, if you've got those numbers all back here, you've got those numbers set up right here. Okay, so again, if you write all that stuff out, it's going to be very, very, very helpful for y'all. So in this case here, again, you've got basically to the 1/3 and the 1/4 power. So writing out all of that other fun stuff would work. And then from there, you got 2 minutes to finish this. This we can go through and rewrite as, you're going to get 6a to the 5/3. And I've got 5b to the 7/3. And that's going to be times the 4th root of 16, which is 2. So it's going to be b to the -1, because again, you're going to, again, remember, so long as you're not adding on the inside, everybody's going to get some of this. And then over here, you got 3 times a to the -1/4. And then from there, the hardest part here is since you've got some negatives over here and some positives over here, the temptation is going to be is to flip. The 6 is going to stay, the 2 is going to stay, the a to the 5/3 is staying, and then the only part that's coming up is there. And only this is moving down. Because remember, those negative exponents are only for the variables or numbers that, excuse me, or for which that's attached to. The 2 and the 3 both have exponents of 1. So then I've got 5. The 3 is staying. Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I forgot about a to the 1/4. And then you've got b to the 7/3, and then the b to the 1st are coming down here. And then lastly over here, then you're going to multiply this out. So now you're going to get 12. Now common denominator here, because remember when you're multiplying like bases, and if you're not sure about this, you can't remember what the steps are, go back and give yourself an easy problem to do. And you're like, oh, wait a second, yeah, I'm supposed to add those. So then you're like, oh yeah, 5/3 plus 1/4. Common denominator is going to be 12, or you've got your, function, or you've got your fraction button stuff on your calculator. So that's going to be what, 23 over 12. So that's going to be 23/12. And on the bottom, I have 5, and then that's going to end up being b to the 10/3. And actually, we could have reduced this here if we wanted to. So if that was you in the back screaming and yelling about that, sorry. So yeah, your final answer is going to be 4/5. And then a to the 23/12 on the top, and b to the 10/3 on the bottom. And you know what? Instead of starting a whole new video and taking up all of YouTube space that way, I'm just going to launch right into R7. So for those of you waiting for R7, thank you for being patient. I appreciate your patience. I know you have a choice of math teachers when it comes to that, or at least choice of podcasts you can listen to. So thank you for choosing us. All right. Yay, radicals. Now again, remember the root here, the key on all of these things is going to be your root index. So like here, we're looking for groups of 4. Here, we're looking for groups of 3. So when we set this up, if you can find, we have that page way back here. So like for the 4, went too far? Not far enough. So I mean, these are numbers that we're going to be looking for inside of those products. The only problem is that sometimes, especially when you're dealing with large numbers like 1250 in this case, you can't always find it. So sometimes you're just better off doing a prime factorization of it. So I can pull 125 times 10. That's 2 and 5. This is going to end up being 5 to the 3rd. So the final here, you're going to get 2 times 5 to the 4th. So now if I do the 4th root of that, now it's going to be a little bit easier to see, because some people actually like writing it out like this, because then they can get the variables fine. It's the numbers that are the problem. If you do prime factorization of it, you're golden. So at this point, this is going to be the only part that's coming out, because by definition, the 4th root of 5 to the 4th is 5. The 4th root of 2 is going to stay there. You put it in a nice rectangle, and life is good. Now for E, same idea. Let's break down the 20 or 54. You might see, oh, it's 2 times 27. 27 is a cube. If you miss that again, you go down like this. So again, I could rewrite this. And if you're really struggling with this, this would be the first place I would start. And now the other thing that you may find useful is to keep on breaking down, and I think I said this in classes yesterday, but you could keep breaking this down. So you're going to break it down into groups of thirds. So a to the sixth, a to the third times a to the third, b to the fifth, a to the third times a to the second. And then anything that happens to be of the third power is going to go outside as a single, because again, remember, so I'm going to get a 3 on the outside, I'm going to get an a on the outside, I'm going to get a second a on the outside, I got b, and then we have the cube root of 2 times b squared. So your final answer here should end up being 3 a squared b cube root of 2b squared. And again, I mean, there's some shortcuts here that we've talked about. I think for some of you, if you're in survival mode, this is probably going to be your best option. Moving on. On a problem like this, your best bet is going to be to simplify things first. Because remember, we can only add, basically, you need like radicals. The best way to do that is to simplify stuff out. This is already simplified, so this is just going to become 6 root 5. This I could write as 7 and 9 times 5a. Square root of 9 is 3, so that's going to become, and this is the part that some of you guys on your quiz you missed. When you pull something out, you're going to multiply it out. So this is going to actually become 7 times 3 times 5a. And then this one here, I've got 16 times 5a. That's what's going to happen there. So that's going to be minus 4 root 5a. So then we'll do this math right there. I've got 6 root 5a plus 21 root 5a minus 4 root 5a. 6 plus 21 minus 4 should come up with 23 root 5a. Yeah, not the world's best prism, but you know, it works. Now this one's a little bit of a pain. This is probably kind of, again, like I said before, in that 4.5 range. It shouldn't be necessarily hard, but it's going to be a little bit more involved than what I'm asking you to do. But that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Much like the last problem, I'm going to try to simplify this stuff out. Root 5, I can't mess with. So that's going to come there. Minus, again, this is 9 times 5. So that's going to become 2 over 3 root 5 plus 6 over, and this is 16 times 5, so that's going to become 4 root 5. Can you multiply through and rationalize everything first? Yes. If you do it, it's going to get really, really messy really, really fast. And I know you guys, you don't like messy. So the first thing before finding common, you know, I suppose you can multiply everything and try to get 12 root 5 in the bottom. I might do that if I have time. Probably what most of you guys are going to do here is that you're going to go root 5 over root 5, and you're just going to rationalize each of these. And that would be just a perfectly fine thing to do. So on the bottom here, I'm going to get 3 root 5 over 5. This over here is going to turn into 3 times 5, so I'm going to get 2, so minus, oops. I said minus, so I was going to write plus. 2 root 5 over 15 plus, and then over here it's going to become 6 root 5 over 20. And actually, in reality, over in this last one, you could, if you wanted to, we could actually probably simplify this to a 2 and this to a 3, which would have made things a little bit easier. But either way, you could also reduce it here. So this is going to become 3 root 5 over 10. And the reason why that's important is now instead of having a common denominator of 60, we have a common denominator of 30. So you're going to go through, I need 30s here, so it's common denominator is 30. So I'm going to multiply this by 6 over 6, and this by 2 over 2, and this by 3 over 3. So then I'll end up with 18 root 5 minus 4 root 5 plus 9 root 5. So then your final answer, which, well, not final answer, but your potentially final answer, unless we have to reduce more, you're going to get what, 1423 root 5 over 5. I mean 23 root 5 over 30. Now, as I said, if you wanted to, like here, is this all one big piece here? Not quite, okay. Feel free to ignore this and skip ahead a little bit, but what you could have also done if you wanted to is done something like this, where you said, okay, common denominator is 12 root 5, since you already have the root 5s there, and then you could have gone 12 over 12, 4 over 4, 3 over 3, and then you'd end up with 36 minus 8 plus 18. So then you'd end up with 46 over 12 root 5. And divide out a 2 there to make our lives a little bit easier. So you get 23 over 6 root 5. And then you're going to multiply that through by root 5 over root 5, which then would give me 23 root 5 over 30. And that would work too. So last problem. This type of thing, when you rationalize it, remember you need conjugates. Conjugates, you need to think of difference of perfect squares. So you have to think of that a plus b, a minus b thing. A lot of you guys are starting to get that, except that you're getting the sign wrong. You don't want to match what's there. You want to do the opposite of what is here. So in this case, it would be 7 plus root 3. If I do it on the bottom, I have to do it on the top. Now the bottom here, I'm going to do this over here on the side. Okay. 7 minus root 3 times 7 plus root 3. This is going to come back when we do imaginary numbers. Everybody gets the 49. This is going to become minus 3. So over here I have 49 minus 3. But you were missing one part, and this is the part that you need to double check in your head. Is that here, notice, I get 7 root 3. And here I get minus 7 root 3, and those zero out, and that's the important part. So if you're doing this, just go ahead and double check that you get an opposite pair here, because if you're not, that means you probably have your sign wrong. And then across the top, again, also, please make sure that this entire thing goes to both of these terms. So I'm going to get 14 plus 2 root 3. So I get 14 plus 2 root 3 over 46. I can divide out a 2 out of each of those. So your final answer is 7 plus root 3 over 23. Okay? So with that, another 13 minutes of fun. I will see you tomorrow. You guys will be fine on this. Again, take your time. Remember, if you have the Remind feature, if you have the Remind app, or if you signed up for Remind Text, if you have one of those and reply back to me, that'll go directly to me and not the whole class. So feel free to fire questions away. Talk to you later.